Hey guys, this is part 2 of the Assassin's Creed Revelations review. I have given gameplay and story both 8.5s out of 10, and I will continue on with the graphics. Graphics is not a huge part of games to me, but it is pleasant to see a wonderful looking game, a great looking game. There was a couple things I didn't like about the graphics, there was a couple things I loved, there was a couple things that were the same as the whole series, so... The city looked just as good, if not better, than any Assassin's Creed. Now, I'm not talking about the vibe, because that's a whole section in itself, the vibe of the game, for me. But the city itself, in terms of graphic, in terms of art design, in terms of all that, art design is not as good as Assassin's Creed 2, what Florence and Venice were, but or Brotherhood even maybe with Rome. Rome has done fantastically, but I like Constantinople. I really did. It missed a little identity, but that, like I said, I'll get into that with the vibe. But in terms of just looks, the game looked great, really great. So the character models look better than they ever did, but Desmond looked fucking weird. Like, Desmond looked like, my brother said earlier, he was watching me play the ending, he said he looked like Mark Echo. So I agree, actually. He looks weird. He just looks weird. He looks nothing like he did in any other games. Altair looks different, but it was an upgrade, I'll say, because he was kind of faceless. Ezio looks great, though. Ezio looks great. All the newly introduced characters look great. The woman, Sophia, she looks incredible. I mean, like real people almost. So I'll give the graphics 9 out of 10 because they were great, and that's great for me. Almost perfect. Uh, I played on both standard definition and high definition. I played on just a regular TV, you know, like I think it's a 36 inch or something. I played on what's that, a 32 inch 720p, and also on a 50 inch 1080p. Every TV it looked fantastic. So in HD though, I have to say that this game looks incredible. So I'm gonna give graphics a 9. Uh, Up next is sound, kind of just the setting. Sound doesn't play that big a role in games, although the slicing, the swords, everything in this game really does, like, it sounds exceptionally well. The voice acting is top notch. I mean, really, if there's such thing as perfect voice acting in a game, some examples for me are L.A. Noire was done really well, Red Dead Redemption was done incredible, some of the Metal Gear Solid series, and Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, of course, but this game, I mean, the voice acting is simply incredible. So the music it fits the tone of the game, the vibe of the city. So I'm gonna give the sound a 9.5 because it was incredible. I mean, it really did go with the game very, very well. Now, if you haven't seen my reviews before, which you probably haven't, I have some written on on GameFAQs.com. But if you haven't read or heard my reviews before, one of my criteria here, or categories you'd say, is the vibe of the whole game. So as a whole, the entire game, what kind of feel did you get from the experience? Now, this game, for me, being a fan of the series, you know, it didn't feel like I said earlier a couple times now, it didn't feel like as much of a cop-out as Brotherhood did. So, that whole thing right there felt good. The fact that Ezio's maturing and all of that, it just feels like a more humble experience, even though you're killing people and all that a lot. I mean, you're killing a lot of people. So, but I think they went to satisfy the fans this time. I think Ubisoft is a fantastic company, and they make really good games. They really, truly make some great games. And this series is fantastic. It's one of my favorites, maybe of all time. And you got the Assassin's Creed vibe off this game, which is one of my favorite vibes of all of gaming. The essence, the whole experience gave you Assassin's Creed vibe, yet at the same time, they improved upon it by number one, making Ezio human. Number two, adding to Altair's story. You felt involved. Now, people say about this game, which I am completely surprised at, is that they didn't really have you until halfway through the game. But for me, I felt involved right away. I felt like, boom, I'm Ezio, I'm in a new city, I'm old now. I'm getting tired of this. The fans are getting tired of being Ezio and the stupid. They just want Assassin's Creed 3 already. Well, that's how Ezio feels about doing this job. So I think they did good. I mean, that vibe, they pull you in, and I don't care what anybody says. Since the second sequence, they pull you in with the new additions, and that's how it starts. And then the story gets good, really good around the third sequence, and it doesn't stop being great until the ending. So the vibe, the city, the color scheme, the art design of Constantinople, you get a real vibe of. I've never been there or anything like that. This has a different vibe than Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed 2 did. You know you're not in Italy anymore. You know you're not in Jerusalem from Assassin's Creed 1. You're in Constantinople specifically. It feels that way. Everything about the game feels that way. You feel like you're Ezio, you're getting tired of this, and that is, I think they made that experience fantastic. The vibe of the cinematics, they really pull you in with those cinematic experiences this time, and I think they did a fantastic job. And I absolutely love the Assassin's Creed series, and it gave you the Assassin's Creed vibe. So for me, that's an easy 9 to 9.5 out of 10, because the Assassin's Creed vibe can't be matched by any other game. There is no other game that gets the Assassin's Creed vibe, just because of the parkour or nothing like that. Now that every fucking game has parkour in it, Assassin's Creed has a truly very unique vibe to it. It has its own kind of story. It's not copying other games, which I love, and you get that vibe through this game. So I'm going to give it the vibe, the general feeling you get when you look at it, when you hear it, when you play it, is a 9 to a 9. I'll say 9.2 out of 10. Just 1 second, sorry. Arizona black tea with ginseng, great stuff. Now, before I go into the overall score of the game out of 10 and my verdict, I will just give a couple of pros and cons and what my general experience was. I will do a multiplayer review separately. I just want to let you know I will do a multiplayer review. I wanted to finish the story off. It was a great story. And I just didn't want to put it down. I haven't played Skyrim or Saints Row or Modern Warfare 2 or 3, which none of those games I've played. I played 20 hours of Skyrim, put it down to play this. So that just shows you not only my view on the games, but how good this game is to me. And I'm going to give a quick list of pros and cons of Assassin's Creed Revelations. Now, pros is obviously the gameplay. They wrap up stuff in the story that you've always wanted to know, although a couple reveals you already knew, or you just had to look a little harder to realize. But unless you're a diehard fan, the reveals were good. The vibe was fantastic. The sound was fantastic. The game looks incredible as usual. They stayed true to Ezio, which is a real plus. So that's 6 pros. I'll give 10 pros and 10 cons. They stayed true to Ezio and Altair and Desmond. Whatever. Desmond's Desmond. We're not up to him yet. They kept you. They added things that were just a little trivial to some people, but I thought the hook blade was good. The tower defense I liked. I like to change the pace. New characters like Sophia and the enemies. One of the enemies in those caves was incredible. I forget his name. It's like Shaka something. But he was a great kind of character. And Ezio's more badass than ever. There's more blood than ever. continue to part 3.